Agriculture. The term agriculture is derived from Latin words ager, pieces of land, and culture, ploughing or tilling. The term agriculture, however, is not restricted to growing of crops, rather it includes rearing of animals also. Some scholars include animal husbandry, forestry, horticulture, fishing, sericulture, and poultry also in agriculture. Agriculture is one of the oldest activities of mankind. Agriculture is the most basic resource as it provides food, clothing, and shelter to mankind. Since time immemorial, the spread of agriculture in various parts of the world recorded progress from the use of most primitive implements to the most modern implements of today. Most of the farming operations are highly mechanized. The dawn of agriculture may be traced back to the Neolithic period. The early river valley civilizations that arose on the banks of rivers in river valleys and their deltas were based on agriculture only. Later, agriculture expanded in drier and colder regions. The map given above shows the distribution of arable land in the world. You will notice that cultivation of crops is possible only in limited areas. Soil, temperature, and rainfall are some of the important physical controls. Every crop has certain basic requirements of temperature, moisture, and nutrients. While some crops are suitable for tropical climate, others may be grown only in subtropical and temperate regions. Methods of cultivation have improved a lot since ancient times. The early farmers used only simple tools like hoes and sickles. Gradually, ox-drawn plows were introduced. In developed countries today, all farm operations have been mechanized. Tractors with multiple attachments perform different functions. It has reduced the number of people occupied in agricultural work. Large number of people in these countries are engaged in other occupations like industries and services. Types of agriculture. Based on agricultural practices, crops grown, the types of livestock kept, and the proportion of output retained by the farmer, agriculture may be broadly divided into two categories. 1. Subsistence agriculture. 2. Commercial agriculture. Subsistence agriculture. This type of agriculture is practiced mainly to meet the requirements of the local community. Most of the products are grown and consumed within the area where they are produced. It includes mainly three types of agricultural practices. A. Nomadic herding. B. Shifting cultivation. C. Intensive agriculture. Nomadic herding. This is practiced by those people who rear cattle, sheep, goats, camels, and yak. These animals are dependent on natural vegetation in the area. Herders move with their animals from one place to another in search of fodder. Shifting cultivation. It is a simple and primitive method of farming. This type of farming is practiced by clearing a patch of forest or by burning bushes. A patch of land is cleared and then cultivated. It is also known as slash and burn agriculture. When the crops are ready, the people join together, harvest and store for consumption. These people do not lead a settled life. The land is prepared for cultivation by felling trees and burning them. Crops like maize and cassava are grown using simple tools. The produce is consumed by the community. People move from one area to another when soil loses its fertility. Intensive agriculture. In this method of farming, even from a small piece of land, farmers get a very high yield by using good quality seeds, ample fertilizers, ensuring regular water supply, and applying more laborers. Besides, more than one crop is taken from the same piece of land because of fertile soil and good climate. It is prevalent mostly in the monsoon regions of South, Southeast, and East Asia. Rice is the main crop. Besides wheat, maize, pulses, and oilseeds are also grown. A variety of crops are usually grown by a farmer because most of the produce is for their own consumption. Commercial agriculture. The main purpose of this kind of agriculture is to sell the produce in the market. Therefore, one particular crop suitable for the region is selected by the farmer. It is called crop specialization. This type of agriculture has two main forms. Commercial grain farming. This is mostly practiced in middle latitudes. Crops are grown for commercial purpose in many developed countries such as Canada, USA, Russia, Ukraine, Argentina, and Australia, and in some parts of India. Wheat is the most important crop grown in India. In USA, there are distinct wheat, corn, and cotton belts. In these areas, population density is low. As a result, per person availability of land is very high. Farms are of big sizes spreading over hundreds of hectares. Most of the work on the farms are done by machines like tractors, levelers, seed drills, and combined harvesters. Compared to intensive agriculture, the amount of labor and capital applied per unit area is relatively small. Here, it is therefore called extensive agriculture. But the total production is very high because of large area under cultivation. In Europe, there has been a trend for diversification of crops instead of specialization. The crops grown are cereals, vegetables, oilseeds, and roots. When crops are combined with livestock, the type of farming is known as mixed farming. Raising of cattle for milk products known as dairy farming is also prevalent in most of the countries. Plantation agriculture. Plantation agriculture is the practice of agriculture which is a specialization of a single crop over large estates or farms where most of the work is done by a scientific basis and where the product is processed before it becomes market-oriented. Most of the plantations are grown in the tropical region under hot and humid climatic conditions. The plantations are large in size and a large number of laborers are needed to work on them. Though there are fluctuations in the international market, yet plantation agriculture is profitable. These plantations were originally developed by Europeans. Now, most of them are owned and managed by the local governments or private companies. The produce is sold in the national as well as international market. Tea in India and Sri Lanka, coffee in Brazil and Colombia, banana in Latin America and Caribbean islands, cocoa in Ghana, sugarcane in Cuba, etc. are some specialized plantation crops. Earlier, the plantations were developed in colonies. With colonialism coming to an end, the plantations are now managed by the local residents of independent states. Horticulture, growing of fruits and vegetables, truck farming, growing of vegetables around big cities for local consumption, and floriculture, growing of flowers, have also emerged as new trends in commercial agriculture. Trivia: the International Assessment of Agricultural Science and Technology for Development, IAA-STD, focuses on agriculture as the provider of food, nutrition, health, environmental services, and economic growth that is both sustainable and socially equitable. Mixed farming. It is that practice of farming in which crops are grown on the farms and cattle are also reared side by side. It is quite popular where the size of farm is moderate. Cereal crops like wheat, barley, and maize are grown, but along with that, root crops like potatoes and turnips are also grown. Remaining parts of the crop serve as fodder for the cattle. Fodder crops like alfalfa and lucerne are also grown. The animal dung is used for fertilizing the soil. The farmers supplement their income from the sale of a variety of farm products. Mixed farming provides greater security than cultivating a single crop over a large area. Sometimes the cattle are fed on the standing crop. Animals need daily attention and thus family labor is fruitfully utilized. This kind of farming is practiced in many countries like Europe, Russia, Australia, India, New Zealand, USA, etc. Dairy farming. It is the practice of dairy farming where cattle are kept for milk and milk products. Poultry is often associated as the side occupation of dairy farming. It is practiced in those parts of the world where climatic conditions are cool. It is largely practiced around the urban centers so that milk is easily supplied to the town dwellers. These farms have provisions for animal sheds and storage facilities for winter fodder. Mechanical equipment like milking machines and feeding troughs are used. Modern methods of feeding are also practiced. Horticulture. It involves the cultivation of vegetables away from the market. Vegetables are supplied to the urban market. The distance of truck farms from the markets are governed by the distance a truck can cover overnight. Vegetables are to be supplied to urban centers to cater to the needs of a large number of people living in towns and cities. It is developed in densely populated industrial areas of northwestern Europe like UK, France, Germany, Belgium, Denmark, etc. The richness of India's climatic variations allow many types of vegetables to be grown in different regions of the country. The growing of fruits and flowers is called horticulture. They are in great demand in towns and cities. Fruit and flower farming is a specialized type of farming. The development of fruit farming largely depends on the effective system of transport. The Netherlands is world famous for its cultivation of its national flower, the tulip. All the Mediterranean countries specialize in fruit farming. India grows a great variety of roses and marigolds for marketing. It also has a rich variety of fruits. Cooperative farming. It is the practice of farming in which all the farmers in a village pool their resources together voluntarily and manage the farming operations under a democratic setup. The landowners share the profit in proportion to the land owned by them. In cooperative farming, the farmer joins a cooperative mainly for getting services which are beyond his individual capacity. Thus, it is an association of cultivators for better utilization of manpower and land with a view to increase agricultural production, employment and income. Farmers' cooperative societies are in charge of all aspects of farm work. They purchase seeds, fertilizers, machinery, etc. and arrange for marketing of products. Cooperatives are very successful in Denmark, Netherlands, Belgium, Norway, Sweden and in India. Trivia. Fruit farming began sometime between 6000 and 3000 BC. Figs were one of the first cultivated fruit crops. Collective farming. This kind of farming was widely practiced in Soviet, Russia and some East European countries. After the Russian Revolution, the communist government made radical changes in agricultural practices. Collective farming was a voluntary productive cooperative union based on social ownership of means of production and on collective labor which exclude exploitation of man by man. The farm was managed by a committee headed by farm manager. The managing committee allocate work to different labor groups called brigades. The work done by each member of brigade was assessed and his remuneration was fixed according to nature of his work. The farmers were given houses on the farm. They had small private plots which could be cultivated. They could keep few animals for their personal use. State farming. It is typical of Russia as it was practiced on state farms. State farms in Russia were owned and operated by the state government and the farm workers were paid employees. State farms were very large in size and they were developed on new virgin lands. State farms had a role in leading and improving agriculture in Russia. The use of agricultural machinery, scientific methods of farming, and diversification of crops improved production of agricultural crops. Crops. Major crops grown in the world can be grouped in following two categories. Food crops. Food crops include all cereals, pulses, oilseeds, beverages, and tubers. Rice, wheat, maize or corn and millets are the main cereals. Rice was grown in India more than 5,000 years ago. It perhaps originated from India and spread to other parts of the world. Rice is obtained from paddy, which is processed in mills. Bran and husk are used as fodder and also as fuel. About 1/2 of the world's population, including the whole of East Asia, use rice as their staple food. Cultivation of rice, paddy, requires high temperature of over 20 degrees Celsius to germinate, bloom and mature. Rainfall of 100 centimeters to 150 centimeters is required for it. Paddy is mainly cultivated in India, China, Japan, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Thailand and Myanmar. It is mostly consumed in countries where it is grown. Some of the good quality rice is exported to other countries. Thailand and Myanmar, known as Rice Bowl of the world, are chief exporters of rice. Wheat is grown under a wide range of climatic conditions from Siberia to the tropical regions. However, it is the main crop of temperate region. It requires cool weather and a rainfall between 40 centimeters to 75 centimeters. At the time of ripening, there should be clear sky, otherwise the ripened crop is damaged. The rainfall between 30 centimeters to 80 centimeters is ideal for its cultivation. Loam is the most suitable soil for its cultivation. In North America, the wheat varieties are classified into winter and spring wheat. Trivia. Wheat production in India showed an 84.3% increase from nearly 6.5 million tons in 1950 to 54.5 million tons in 1990 to 56.7 million tons in 1992. China, India, USA, France, Canada, Russia, Turkey, Germany, Australia, etc. are the major producers of wheat. Most of the wheat produced in European countries are consumed within the region. Hence, more of these countries import wheat. USA, Canada, Australia and Argentina are the main exporters of wheat. They share 3/4 of the total sale of wheat in the international market. Europe is the major buyer of wheat. Maize is known as makka in India, corn in USA and Indian corn in Europe. It is indigenous to the American continent. It was introduced by Columbus and other explorers in Europe. It is second to wheat in terms of area cultivated. It is used as food grain and fodder. USA is the largest producer and seller of maize in the international market. China is the second largest producer, followed by Brazil. In India, maize has not been a major crop, though in recent times it has gained importance. It is cultivated in Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Haryana and Punjab. Millet is the name given to a group of crops like jowar, bajra, ragi and sorghum. They are used as fodder and food cereals. They grow well in moderately high temperatures varying from 25 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius and in areas having an annual rainfall of 50 centimeters to 75 centimeters. They are mainly grown in low rainfall areas and fertile soils. Millet are not only the staple food for a very large section of people of peninsular India throughout the year, but also utilized as fodder. The fodder value of jowar is great. Fiber is a material with hair-like structure produced from vegetables, animals, minerals and chemicals. Vegetable fibers are obtained from seeds, stems, leaves and fruit cases. Animal fibers are obtained from insects such as silkworms, from animals such as camels, sheep, goats, yak, etc. Mineral fibers such as glass is made from silica sand. Synthetic fibers are derived from chemical treatment of natural cellulose, which is made from wood pulp. Cotton, wool, jute are some of the most important fibers. Cotton is one of the world's leading agricultural crops used to produce clothes. Cotton is classified on the basis of the length of the fiber as short, staple, medium staple and long staple cotton. The long staple cotton is used to produce linen and strong quality of cloth. It grows in areas where the temperature is between 30 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. It requires rainfall between 60 centimeters to 100 centimeters. Alluvial and black soil are best suited for cotton plants. It requires cloud-free and sunny days and uniformly high temperature. In India, cotton is produced to a large extent in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab and Haryana. Jute is obtained from the bark of jute plant stem. It is a native plant of Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta. Wherever bulky, strong fabrics and twines resistant to stretching are required, jute is widely preferred. Its production cost is also low. It grows well in drained sandy loam and requires warm and humid climate. Jute plants require temperature of more than 25 degrees Celsius and rainfall of over 125 centimeters per year. It is a major fiber crop grown intensively in Southeast Asia. India, Bangladesh and China account for 85% of the world's production. Jute is also produced on a small scale in Myanmar, Nepal, Thailand and Brazil. Bangladesh is the world leader in jute production in the international jute market. Jute faced a tough competition from development of synthetic gunny bags, but the Government of India is making efforts to promote its products because, being natural fibers, they do not damage the environment. Hemp, flax, abaca, sisal, etc. are the other substitutes of jute grown in different parts of the world. Beverage or cash crops. Tea and coffee are popular drinks. They are called beverage crops. These crops are also known as cash crops. Tea is made from leaves of tea plants. It has many varieties. Small-leaved China tea plants and large-leaved Assam tea plants are popular all over the world. Chinese were the earliest tea drinkers in the world. Earlier, the habit of tea drinking was restricted to rich people only. It was also considered medicinal drink. The tea gardens were prohibited to outsiders in China. The colonial British first discovered the Assam tea in the forests of northeast India. Tea plantation or tea gardens are large areas under tea cultivation. Apart from developing tea plantation in Assam, they also developed tea plantations in Sri Lanka. Tea plants require moderate temperature up to 25 degrees Celsius and rainfall of about 200 centimeters per year. Climatic requirements restrict the commercial cultivation of tea to rainy tropical and humid subtropical region. Tea also requires well-drained alluvial soil. Apart from India, other major tea producers are Sri Lanka, Japan, Indonesia and China. More than 3/4 of the world's production of tea is contributed by these 4 countries. In India, tea is produced in Assam, West Bengal, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Assam alone accounts for half of the tea produced in the country. 1/3 of the world's population drinks coffee, the second largest beverage after tea. Even when some regions denounced coffee as an intoxicating drink, its stimulating effect made it popular all over the world. The coffee plants are cultivated for their seeds or beans, which are roasted, ground, and sold for brewing coffee. There are two types of coffee plants, coffee arabica and coffee robusta. Robusta is the main variety produced in the world. The coffee plants require moderate rainfall and warm climate. Sunshine and snowfall are harmful to the plant. During its growth, coffee plants require rainfall of 100 centimeters to 150 centimeters and temperatures between 15 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Irrigation is required where annual rainfall is less than 100 centimeters. The important coffee producers are Brazil, Colombia, Vietnam and Indonesia. In India, coffee is largely grown in the eastern shelterland slopes of Western Ghats in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Agricultural development, a case study. Agriculture is developed at different places in different parts of the world. Developing countries with large population usually practice intensive agriculture where crops are grown on small holdings, farms, mostly for subsistence. Very large holdings are more suitable for commercial agriculture as in USA, Canada, Argentina and Australia. Trivia. Agriculture and allied sectors contribute nearly 22% of GDP and 65 to 70% of the population in India is dependent on agriculture for their livelihood. A farm in India. An average farm holding in northern India is about 1 to 1.5 hectares. A typical farmer purchases high-yielding varieties of seeds from the market every alternate year. The land is fertile and he grows at least 2 crops in a year, which are normally wheat or rice and pulses. The farmer takes advice of his friends and elders as well as government agricultural officers regarding farming practices. He takes a tractor on rent or uses his oxen for ploughing his field, and there is a tube well in the nearby field which he takes on rent to irrigate his field. The farmer has 2 buffaloes and 10 hens. He sells milk in the cooperative store located in the nearby town. He is a member of the cooperative society which also advises him on the type of fodder for his animals, safety measures to protect the health of the livestock. All the members of the family help him in various farm activities. Sometimes he takes credit from a bank or the agricultural cooperative society to buy high-yielding variety seeds, HYV, seeds and implements. He sells his produce in the mandi, trading center located in the nearby town. As a majority of the farmers do not have good storage facilities, they are forced to sell the produce even when the market is not favorable to them. In recent years, the government has taken some steps to develop storage facilities. Trivia. The Green Revolution 1967-68 to 1977-78 changed India's status from a food-deficient country to one of the world's leading agricultural nations. A farm in USA. An average farm size in the USA is about 250 hectares. The farmer generally resides on the farm. Some of the major crops grown are corn, maize, soya bean, wheat, cotton and sugar beet. A typical farmer in the Midwest USA owns about 300 hectares of land. He grows corn on his field after making sure that soil and water resources meet the needs of this crop. Adequate measures are taken to control pests that can damage the crop. From time to time, he sends the soil samples to a soil testing laboratory to ensure that the soil nutrients are sufficient. This helps the farmer to plan a scientific fertilizer program. His computer is linked to the satellite which gives him a precise picture of his field. This helps him to use chemical fertilizers and pesticides wherever they are required. Trivia. Around 40% of today's global population works in agriculture, making it the single largest employer in the world. He uses tractors, seed drills, leveler, combined harvester and thresher to perform various agricultural operations. Grains are stored in the automated grain storage or dispatched to market agencies. The farmer in USA works like a businessman and not like a peasant farmer.